Hey friends! Glad you could be with me today. My favorite place in the whole world, my hop yard. And digging holes and preparing to plant my hops plants. But look here. Look what I found in the holes. It's Easter Sunday here in the United States, folks. And for those of you who celebrate Easter, Feliz Pascual, Happy Easter to all of you. For those who don't celebrate, happy day, because every day in my hop yard is a happy day, especially when I'm planting hops. And even more beautiful on a beautiful day are these new hops babies just planted. And we're gonna show you how we do it, folks. So Max Raphael here from Hops World with tip number 59, how to plant my hops plants. Let's get right into it and let's do it. Hey, we ready to plant some plants finally? It's springtime, it's Easter Sunday, it's sunny outside, and we are ready to go. Don't forget, folks, at the end of the video, there's a couple things I want to talk about when to plant your hops plants and about adding lime or other product to your soil depending on the pH. Two really important things, so stay till the end of the video, okay? But without further ado, let's get right into planting. So before we get planting, I want to mention that this is really for a person planting one plant or a bunch of plants. You can put separate holes in the ground and space your plants out at least 3 feet apart if they're the same variety. If they're different varieties, I would go 6 or 7 feet apart. But what we also do is we do raised bed planting. And you can see in this picture, we have 4 raised beds, our little breeding hop yard right here. And then we have tons of plants in pots and baby plants and grow rooms. But raised bed planting is another option for someone not on a huge scale. Not on a big scale, and I'm going to do another video on that in our farm down in Brazil, where we have a huge trellis, just like Yakima Valley, and we use tractor to dig trenches to put in our organic material. It's the same basic system. We just do it on a huger scale and use machines. But we will do a video in the future about that. But for now, we're going to show you how to plant plants right there at your house, in your yard. Even on a small scale hop yard, it's the same thing. You just have to do it for each plant on a bigger scale and a lot more work, okay? Okay, so this is the spot where we're gonna plant our hops. Whether it be a rhizome or a plant, the preparation for us is going to be the same. This is for you people that really have never had a hops yard, you don't have any area already prepared, and you just want to plant one plant or a bunch of plants. This is how we do it here. First, you pick an area. It's got to be 2 feet by 2 feet. That's the size our hole is going to be. Even though our plant's very small, my mom always taught me to make a hole double the size of your plant on every side and on the bottom. But for hops, we're going the extra mile. We're giving it the extra bam. So this spot here, we actually had a plant. It wasn't hops. And we used our irrigation system from our hops plant. It's already here, so conveniently, this plant will be able to run up this anchor wire once it gets big enough. So the first thing we do is we dig down 2 foot square and get all of the topsoil, and we separate that. Realize, folks, in normal soil situation, the top 8 to 12 inches maximum has all the nutrients. That's where all the roots for your grasses and your very shallow roots grow. And that has all of the nutrients that the plants take up. Below that is just soil, it's dirt. But in hops, the roots grow down, believe it or not, up to 30 feet or 10 meters deep. So what we do is we go deeper than just the topsoil, and we really make a good fertile mix down 2 feet deep. So when we dig, we separate the topsoil and the dirt. So let's do it. First, we mark off the area, a square. So as you can see, I hit a PVC pipe here. It's a good thing I used that because inside that is the plastic underground irrigation line that runs over to our hop yard. So no big deal. The plant will be right next to it. So when I take the grass and whatever vegetative matter from the top, it's no big deal. Throw it to the side and mix it in. You don't have to separate that. So we keep digging down till we get down about 8 or 10 inches. You'll see the difference in the soil and how it changes. Okay, I can clearly see the difference in the color of the soil. That topsoil is really a lot darker brown, blackish. This soil has a reddish or lighter brown tint to it. You can see the difference right here, that the soil below has no organic material compared to the top. So from here on down, I'm going to continue down 2 feet deep. This soil I'm going to separate to this side. Okay, so there's our hole, a couple feet deep. Over here, the topsoil, tons of nutrients and organic matter. On this side, you can see the difference. It's a lot more compact soil, a lot more percentage of clay for sure, and no nutrients, not dark. See the difference? So you want to separate your soil. Now we're going to show you what we do to prepare the hole. Okay, so now I prepare the hole and the soil that I took out of the hole. And how do I do that? So what I have here is one bucket, 5-gallon bucket full of our compost soil mix. Okay, you can use pure cow manure, mushroom compost, some kind of pure organic material. If you use pure, I would go half as much as this bucket. If you use chicken manure, which is really strong, I would go 1/4 of this bucket. But cow manure, they have mushroom compost, all different kinds of humus or worm compost is really good. But use half the bucket. This is a mix with substrate, with soil, with all different stuff. It's not pure compost. So with our mix, we use a full bucket. And what we do is we put 1/4 of the bucket in the bottom of the hole, 1/4 of the bucket on the topsoil, and half the bucket on the subsoil or the soil that was down on the bottom of the hole. Now, I know our soil is slightly acidic, so I use hydrated lime. It actually has calcium and magnesium, some good micronutrients that our plants are going to need. This is 2 cups, basically 500 milligrams, a little more than 2 8-ounce cups, and I spread it evenly everywhere, it's going to get mixed in anyway. So our mulch soil compost mix already has lime and Osmocote mixed in. But because there's such a volume of soil here, we're going to mix a little more. This Osmocote is a slow release fertilizer. I think it's 14-14-14, which is nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. And it actually releases fertilizer in the next 4 months. So this plant will be really good for a while without giving any fertilizer at all. So for this quantity of soil, I'm going to put a half a cup. I would usually probably put a whole cup, but the soil we mixed in already has Osmocote in it. So this is 250 milligrams, or about 1 8-ounce cup. This big red Solo cup is 500 milligrams. So same thing. We're going to mix about half here, a quarter here, and a quarter here. Now, give a good mix in all 3 areas. One thing that I do, it's real important, I dig down in the hole and turn the soil over and mix in the compost and the other ingredients to actually make the soil down even deeper, even fluffier, and full of organic material. I think this really helps. Besides the hole being 2 feet deep, it's another 8 or 10 inches or a foot deep, mixed up as if we dug it deeper. Yeah, that's really nice. It's really fluffy and mixed, and you can see the difference with the organic material. We'll do the same thing with these 2 piles. Okay, there we go. I'm sorry about the noise and the neighbor using his machine. I don't know if you can hear that. But we mixed both piles. We mixed down in the hole. Now, are we ready to plant? No. We're a long way from planting, folks, because the right thing to do is let this soil rest. Yes, at least a month. It would be better to go 6 weeks. So you really should plan ahead to do this. If you plant now, it probably won't be too bad. Your soil will actually keep getting better for the next month. But the right thing to do is wait at least 1 month. Let the sun cook this. Let the rain penetrate this and mix these ingredients and get some microorganisms growing in this soil. So, fortunately, we dug another hole a month ago and it's ready to plant. So, let's go over there and check it out. Okay, finally, we're ready to plant our hops, baby. Here's our plant here, a nice little hops plant. When you buy plants, they should be ready to go right in the ground, folks. This thing's a few days old. It's actually started to grow, but we're good to go. This hole has been sitting for almost 5 weeks. So we're ready to plant our plant. So what we do on this side, we have the topsoil, had some grass mixed in, everything that was here. This side is the bottom dirt, basically, soil. First, I'm gonna remix the soil in the bottom of the hole. Just to loosen it up. In this hole, I found a lot of rocks. I pulled out all the bigger ones, any big rocks. It's good to pull them out. It doesn't hurt much, but I try to pull them out. So, first I put the topsoil in the bottom of the hole. This plant, when it reaches that topsoil, is really gonna get a good boost in a few weeks. All right, the reason we didn't take the grass and separate it from the topsoil is because that's really going to rot and create a lot of organic material. So now we backfill with the dirt that's been mixed with our organic material. So you might end up with a slight mound, and that's really what you want because you added organic material. You want this mounded up a little. It's really going to help the drainage. So at this point, it's the same process if you have your hops plant or a hops rhizome. Now's when the difference changes a little, when we actually plant the plant. So I'll show you how to plant your plant. You take your plant, you actually have to dig a hole just the depth of the pot right in the middle where you're going to plant it. Take your name tag out. Take your name tag, put it down in the hole. 2 labels on every plant, folks. Please, my pet peeve. This one, look, it's gonna have 3. And then take your hand, cup the plant, turn the plant over. Try not to break up your little plant and the dirt and the roots. And then gently backfill around the plant. Give it a nice pat, get a stake, or get it trained up on the wire. It's gonna take a little while to catch up, and give it a good drink. Remember, your plant's gonna need water, but watch the weather. If it rains, don't drown your plant with too much water. If it gets really hot and sunny, keep your eye on it. Make sure it doesn't dry out, but you want it to get almost dry before you give it more water. So all this thing needs is a stake, and it's good to go. So just train it up clockwise around the stake until it hits the cable. This is our anchor cable, and it'll grow right up this anchor cable at almost a 45-degree angle. That's how we plant our hops plants. Well, there you go. Get planting, folks. But before we leave, there's a couple real important things that I need to talk about. As you saw, I use lime on the ground for my plants. And the reason I did that is because I did a pH test of my soil. I actually send my soil to a lab every year. It costs $55, but it's worth it because they give me more than just the pH. But literally for $10 online, you can order a little test kit. Not only test the pH, you can test nitrogen, potassium, 3 or 4 different things. But most important is do a pH test of your soil. Right at home, like I said, get a little kit and check it out. It's real simple, take you 10 minutes. And if your soil is low like ours is, which was pH 5.9, we added lime. Another thing we do is we add ash from our bonfires. We cook out and have marshmallows, we drink beers, we burn all of our hops at the end of the year. But in the fall, we put ash down because our soil always becomes acidic. And there's other products you can use, and check it out online. Now, if your soil is high, say above 7.0, we go for 6.5 with our hops. So pretty close to that, we let it go. Up to close to 7, we're okay. If it gets above 7, we want to bring the pH down, but that really doesn't happen here because we use a lot of organic material. If you want to bring your pH down, organic material that I preach about in all my other videos really helps bring your pH down. And that's why our pH throughout the years gets lower each year, and we have to keep bringing it up. But if you have soil that's high, and there is soils naturally that are high in pH. You want to bring it down. Other than that, you can use sulfur products. There are organic products that I recommend, as opposed to, they have ammonium sulfate, stuff that's really hard on the soil. So be careful what you use. Try to go organic, okay? But you need to try to grow your soil and get organic material that'll help natural microbes and organisms to keep that soil alive, and the pH will stabilize, okay? Next thing I'm going to talk about, when to plant your plants. It's a big question I get each year, and I hate to tell people when to plant their plants, because obviously depending on where you live, depends on where you're going to plant your plants. In Brazil, on our farm, we can plant all year long. To get below 0 degrees or 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius is almost impossible there. I think in 5 years they may have had frost on the grass once. It's almost impossible. There are places in Brazil where they have snow way down in the south. It happens every couple of years. But in Florida, you can plant most of the year depending on where you're at. There are people now growing hops all over the world. But where we are here in southeast Pennsylvania, which is the northeast part of the United States, they say to plant flowers after Mother's Day, which is May 8th, which is way in the spring and almost heading into summer. But hops, as you can see right here next to me, this is Brewer's Gold. This is a Zeus plant that's at least 3, almost 4 feet tall. They can handle cold weather because they're going into the 3rd year. Little baby hops plants, I would be really worried to plant. Even now, if you look at the weather forecast, in a day or two, it's going to drop down to 34 degrees. That's really cold for a baby hops plant. It should be able to handle it, but if you can wait, as you look at our temperature here, there's even 37 degrees. A couple more days probably ain't going to hurt. So I would consider waiting till after that last 37 degree. Here we are on April 16th, and it's well into almost a month into spring. So between now and May is usually when I plant little plants where I'm at. But the bottom line is they say after the last frost. The only person who knows where the last frost is Mother Nature. Okay? That's the best I can tell you. I want to thank all of you again for watching, for subscribing. Hey, if you liked it, subscribe. If you're not subscribed, help support the channel. I don't like to ask for your help unless you like the video, but if you liked it, hit a like, help me out. We're almost hitting 1,000 subscribers, folks. Thanks again. Cheers to life.